Okay,
why
welcome
she
to the
missed
last
St.
meeting
Stephen.
of the year. We'll start with the public session. So, as far as I'm aware, we don't have any guest speakers.
Sorry, can I just ask you a question? Last time we had a speaker from Dave Bailey from Woodset, anti-fracking.
Yeah,
I understand you wanted to come again today. Is that
No, we are in contact with David Bailey at Burley, and he's going to make an appointment to use the hall.
right? Is that there's no arrangement for him to speak to this group?
Nobody's arranged.
No, it's going to come, organise a public meeting.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so no presentations from guest speakers. B is to allow representations regarding planning applications within the civil parish. Anyone here to make representations regarding planning applications? No. And C, to allow one question per elector of the civil parish on a topic for which the parish council has responsibility or which affects the parish. Questions? Sorry, gentleman on the end. And Kevin, anyone else? Great. Oh, yeah. Brilliant. Can you, if you haven't spoken before, actually, two of them haven't, can you just state your name for the clerk? There's a microphone there as well. Anyone wants to use
Well, I'm not familiar with everybody yet, and I probably don't need a microphone.
Just refer everybody to the
You need one for these.
My name's Alan Platts, and I'm a resident of Anston, but I have an interest with the Woodsets anti-fracking group, and I did send an email that should have gone to you all, just asking if you'd have a look at an objection letter that had been written by Lee Rowley for North East Derbyshire. And I just wanted to ask if you had actually read that email that I sent you, read the Lee Rowley objection letter, and with specifically looking at the last 2 pages of that objection letter, because that sets out what could happen from the Woodsets piece of work. Sorry?
So the question, hang on, Stuart. Carry
I
on.
was saying it, we have a policy
Councillor
that
Thornton, please. He has actually asked a question.
I have asked a
He's
question.
asked if we've read the...
And I just wanted to point you in direction of the specific bit that I wanted you to make sure that you'd read. So that's my question, is have you read that document? Have you gone to the back end? Because that is the back end of that document. The last 2 pages is probably significant for this whole area and not just Woodsets.
Thank you very much. Christine,
Can I ask?
If you want to answer, yeah.
Are you in contact with David Burley?
No.
Right. Our next step is for David Burley to come to a public meeting. So I can pass on a message or give you his email if you want to.
I am in indirect contact with him, but I'm not in direct contact with him.
Right.
But, obviously my question was that I wanted to know that you all had read that particular
Yeah.
objection letter right to the very end of that.
In that case, can I ask members, has anyone not seen that email?
Yes, we have not seen that, I'm afraid.
Seen that email.
Councillor Manson, have a read of it.
I haven't seen it.
Can I just, for the purposes of the council's answer to the question, so the council did resolve to object as far as it could to any surveys on the land. We are quite limited in terms of our statutory powers, but I think members were pretty much across the board agreed to object on that.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
I don't necessarily know everybody is, there's no nameplates around to indicate that people are.
Really? Good point, well spotted. You have it. They should normally they're put out by the council.
Estate number 10,036.
We'll just let Anna get them.
Right.
Be careful.
Can we send that letter on then to council?
I think it can be
Yeah.
email, it's just
Okay.
it's probably not easy, yeah.
Perhaps he didn't get a copy.
Okay. I'll double check.
I should revise that.
Good family
plan.
Woodsets, though, you can kind of have an idea of which
So
way to go.
they should have.
Kevin? Actually, just hang on 10 seconds while Alex goes out.
Have you seen that, Stuart?
Yeah, I'm going to declare a personal interest, but I don't know.
Well, I don't
Thank
think
you very
the
much for
Mrs.
reminding us. Great. Well, Kevin, did you have a question?
Just over the road from me, about 3 down.
Fire away.
Can we up to microphone, please?
Yeah. Kevin.
Chair, can I ask him to come to the microphone? We asked Mr. Platts to do it, and we said that everybody would do it in
Would you,
future.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, I'm just wondering why all of a sudden we've started focusing resources on Crowgate. We've got 2 agenda items on that. Seems a bit strange that we're getting quotes in for trees and grass cutting and one thing and another, when it was only last year that 3 quarters at council were trying to give this site back to Rotherham Borough. So, you know, are we going in an agenda somewhere along there, or is it just we've had a change of heart?
Okay, so the question is, why is the council planning to, or why does it look as though the council is planning to...
No, why are we directing resources to Crowgate when last year 3 quarters at council were trying to give that site back to RMBC, and they were just saying it weren't really worth bothering with?
Some councils were of the opinion that it might be financially good.
Well, they were trying to give it, pointed it is, we're directing resources when we were trying to give it back last year. I'm just wondering if there's an agenda on it.
The council resolved to renew the lease of Crowgate. I think that question
And why would we have an
is perhaps better answered by you listening to the proceedings.
It's even written from us.
You mean you don't want to answer it?
No, I mean, I can answer it for you. I can basically say the council had discussions as to whether it wanted to retain Crowgate or not, in terms of reducing costs to the council. Some councillors agreed that it would be worth handing it back to the borough, for the borough to maintain. Other councillors were of the opinion that actually maintaining it as a football pitch, or maintaining it within the control of the parish council, was something that we should do. That went to a series of votes last year, the first of which was overturned, and we decided to renew the lease. Since then, the council's got commitment to maintaining Crowgate, and we've entered into a licence agreement with Jones Homes, which will bring some money, some much needed investment into the field there, with a view to reinstating it as a football pitch for the community in Southampton. So there's no hidden agenda, it's simply a case of we're using income from that site to provide you with a football pitch for us, particularly when we've got drainage problems at this site here. It's hopefully going to be very useful for us.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
Nothing to do with
go with Rosie
election, that we've got a hidden agenda, is it?
Sorry, I've been to a council meeting before, but not very often. My name's Rosie Robbins. I live in Southampton. Does the council propose to seek sponsorship for the hanging basket displays in northern Southampton again? That's my question.
So does the council propose to
seek sponsorship?
I think it's probably best Clive. Would you be able, you're the most advocate, strongest advocate of the hanging basket, so you want to respond?
Yeah, I mean, I would like to think we could get some sponsorship, because I'd ideally like to have more hanging baskets than we've had this year. We've got limited resources again. We can only buy what we can afford, but I think we are looking to, this is not a secret, is it, because it's on the agenda, I think, as an item to look how we can improve our buying power with other parish councils. So it's a question of the bigger orders we put in, hopefully the price per unit should come down. So I'd like to, as I say, put more in down Quarry Lane and Woodsets Road, because they're the two. Well, Woodsets Road is an entrance to the village, so we've got them on the others. So I would like to put some on there, but I think it's something that we've got to explore. And if we can get money from other sources other than us, then so be it. So we'll have to see what we can do. Okay.
Yeah, I'd just like to ask a question.
Come to the microphone, please, Chair.
Would you be able to, you'll appear on the recording.
I don't know if there's any legal reason that I should be.
Don't take his question then. Don't take his question if you want to go to the microphone. No, you can't tell me what to do, Mr. Cameron. Don't shout at me.
I'm not shouting, I'm telling you.
See, he's telling me, and he's telling me what to do as a councillor. I can't do it.
force a member of the public to use a microphone.
Right. Well, maybe we ought to change standing orders then.
I
I think
public
Well, I think it's fair that he does use it, because we've asked everybody else, and everybody else has used it without any qualms. So what's Mr Cavan scared of?
Benefited members of the public who will be listening to the recording at home, would you mind using the mic?
No, I don't want to use it.
Okay.
Right.
We don't answer the question, are we?
Can you shout at them, Kevin?
Well, of course I can, you can hear me anyway. I'd just like to ask a question once again, which I asked at last meeting, on why did no councillor find it fit to apply for the grant from Rotherham the cricket club applied for, and Woodsets, I believe Woodsets Cricket Club? Well, always been. Scouts. Woodsets Scouts applied for grants and achieved them from Rotherham Borough Council. When we've got play equipment that we're taking out and they say we can't afford to replace it, we're looking for funding for it, Rotherham are actually offering it to you, we're giving it in your hand, saying here, I've just applied for it and you can have it. But no councillor found fit to apply for that grant. I just can't believe it.
Thank you very much. The
Woodset's got 4,000 quid, I don't know how much.
Okay, Kevin. It's a session for questions rather than speeches disguised as questions. So,
the question is, can any councillor answer me and tell me why they didn't apply for it?
we gave you an answer last time that we're seeking funding. I don't propose to spend any time now on answering that particular question. It's something that the council has dealt with recently, and you're more than welcome to write into the council with your opinions. You asked that question last time. We need to move on.
The answer was that you applied for a grant, which you're probably not going to achieve when you should have had given to you.
Thank you. It's a question session, not a speeches session. Okay. Thank you very much. Any other questions from members of the issue? Thank you. Okay, into the meeting itself. Apologies for absence. We've got apologies from Councillor Matthews, Councillor Ireland Junior, Councillor Ireland Senior, and Councillor Gray. We have any look at all of those. Proposer and second for those. Files.
Have we got that?
Phil. All those in favour?
Oh, well.
Can I have a more pronounced show of hands?
Oh, sorry.
Thank you. Sorry. That's fine. Otherwise it would have carried them. Okay, item 2, to disclose members' DPI of personal interest in any interest to declare?
You do that.
Steve, you have an interest?
Sorry, can you say it again, please?
Do you have an interest to declare in anything? Any interest?
Just the planning on the Oval is
1750.
a neighbour.
RB 2017-1750. Page 2.
Is that the same?
Same person. It's the same street, but I don't know the people.
Any other interest? Great, thank you very much. To identify items from which the press and the public may be excluded. I have a couple here, and then we'll go to Colin. I'm trying to make this as fast as possible. So 8.1, which is flooring with quotes. Anyone object to that going in? 8.2, which is potential. I'll look to Stuart for this one.
I asked last time when we put it into confidential session. I did briefly mention it in the budget meeting, and I think everybody understands why it's going into confidential.
I was going to also ask 8.7 and 8.9, which is perhaps Colin's item there, for contractual reasons. Is that okay, Colin? If we take 8.7 and 8.9 in confidential.
Yeah.
Terrific. Great. 9.
8.13.
13, please. 9. 8.13. Yeah, sorry. 8.13.
8.12, please.
Is it contractual or?
Yes. I think
is
it's...
12?
Is that about the
complaint regarding council?
Yeah. I don't think it's a venue for that to be heard, actually. And I'll tell you the reason why. It's sub judice at the moment. The Standards Committee haven't dealt with it at all. They've not even reviewed it. And it's also a subject of a possible libel action and a action for slander against two individuals.
Thank you very much.
We can't discuss it. And then 8:13 then.
The last one I had on my list was
We
9-3.
can't discuss it because we misunderstand us.
Any others?
Sorry, I was talking.
The last one was your item on 9.3.
9.3, yeah.
Any others? Proposer and seconder for those? Bill, Colin, all those in favour? Thanks very much. Item 4, to confirm the minutes of the parish council meeting on Monday the 20th of November. Take page 1. Evening. There is a microphone floating around.
Who is it? Who is it?
Page 2.
Sorry, could I go back to page 1?
Yeah. Page 1.
Yeah. Item 13417. Having looked now in great depth at the video of the parish meeting, there are two glaring errors in procedure which I think occurred, and there is no reference to them at all in the minutes. The first one was that at 21:22, Councillor Bowers called for a closed vote on that particular item, and that was not heard. And secondly, and perhaps as equally important, at 22:26 we moved directly to the vote without Councillor Jepson being given the right to reply to his motion. And as I say, that particular minute doesn't completely refer to that particular item and the session surrounding it. And I think it would be remiss of us not to accept that, and I certainly believe that matter should be heard again as a rescission matter.
Which item was that one, sir?
It was the minutes.
13417.
Yeah, 13417. No, sorry, wrong one.
13417.
Yeah, that was the. Yes, it was. Sorry.
That's in the confirmation of the minutes of the last meeting. 13417.
Where did we go to? Sorry, 14117. 14117.
Yeah. 14117.
Yeah.
So that's the recommendation from YRCA.
Yeah.
Okay.
Could I speak on this?
Yeah, if you want to speak up, so Councillor Bowers has got something he wants to say on this one. It's probably a good point to.
Yeah, on the bar. I was talking to you about. I asked for a closed vote. I was unfortunately the councillor's not here. So we've asked him the question of this. We have a right to a balanced vote. If two members under Standing Order 75 state that if two members ask, which myself and one of the other councillor Graham did, that means if at least two members don't request by the same ballot. Now, I was told off other councillors it wasn't the thing to do, but at the time it was contentious. We knew what was going on, and I've been over these meetings, and I was told, wait, well, unfortunately, yes. Understanding Order 75, I am entitled to, if somebody requests recording, or if two members state they would like a signed ballot, it goes to a ballot, signed ballot, not to recorded vote. Also, on that behalf as well, under section 51, the mover, which was quite different resolution, has the right to reply immediately to the motion before it's put to vote. We didn't also do that neither. That wasn't under section 51. So at the end of it, there was two standing orders mixed up in that recollection. So with that ruling, I'd just like to ask about this because it just doesn't seem quite proper. and my own personal thing, under Code of Conduct, section 50, after the comment I've got, and it was at the time, dodgy now when it wasn't, I think. It could have seemed to any other person listening to the conversation, it could have seemed to have been intimidating to any other person, but on the standing orders of 75, I was my right to ask for this, because at the time it was controversial. It was what we've asked the YCA to ask. And the other one is, I wanted to stop any animosity between the council and the public gallery. I did that to keep everyone in peace, so it went that way, so it was a lot easier, a lot calmer, so it would end up. I have looked at the video, and the timeline basically says price proposal, verbal instructions from the public. At 21, we have the amendment. Chairman requests proposal, but councillor requests recorded vote. Closed vote proposed. But under section 75, you can't do that. We have flat, so can we please look into that, please? We are understanding orders. We are with, please, for the councillors, take note of those things.
It's one that. Do you want to come?
No,
I've got some clarification. So we had a look at this. We had a look in Charles Allen Baker, and we had a look at the legislation. And I think that it might, looking at the situation that happened at the last meeting, I perfectly agree that councillors shouldn't feel intimidated in meetings. We don't want that sort of atmosphere. Unfortunately for us two sat here, the standing orders aren't as clear as they should be. So they mention under 75, which is actually under voting in committees rather than voting in council. Members of committees and subcommittees entitled to vote shall vote by show of hands, or if two members so request, by signed ballot for voting in committees. We have that proposal, as you quite rightly said, for a recorded vote in council. It's really not clear what our standing order should do. So what I'd propose is that the best thing to do is for us to bring. Are you okay to bring that back as an agenda item?
Please.
To change the standing order.
Please. I just feel, no offence to anybody, we don't, like Councillor Brennan said last night, we have picked this up, what's happened before, we picked this up, like Paul says, the seems to be animosity. As new councillors, we picked this up. I did this to stop it, just to make everybody have their own freedom of vote. We are an intimidation, that's why I said it before. Not to be saying, well, it isn't, no, I did that to keep the calm situation in here. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, can I just come back on that? Yeah, I think what we need to do is bring it back and get, because I think standing orders have not been looked at for quite a while. I think we need to do some of the other bits recently, and there are quite a few I think that need bringing up to date that they've not been touched. I think since 2014, is it? That's the last set I've got, and I think that voting in committees, I think that perhaps should be. It gives us a method of avoiding any unpleasantness in council meetings. So I wouldn't be averse to that, bringing back and changing standing orders. I mean, that's down to members again at the end of the day. But yeah, on that other point that Councillor Bowers brought up, I felt that I didn't have the chance to reply at the end of before the vote, but it happened. But the trouble is, we get that much noise and interruption that it's very difficult sometimes to follow proceedings, and you think you've done something, and not till you go back on the video or wherever, or somebody else points it out that it's not gone that way. So I think we need to look at that, but I think we need to revisit that particular item again anyway, and try and sort it out, because it did get a bit chaotic. So I'm more than happy for that to be a change to standing orders.
So are you okay to bring that back?
Yes.
Does anybody want to suggest any changes to wording to 141/17? Or have we made it reasonably clear?
Yeah. It's the record, and that's what happens.
Leave for the record.
Yeah, can I just point out, though, Chair, that item 14117 That was a recommendation from YALC, and I'm quite surprised members went against a recommendation. They seem to be going against legal advice and recommendations for some reason.
Can I just go back? I think the thing with that was it was a 2-month recommendation from YLCA, and the motion put forward was for 3 months, which I've contacted Chair, and I was happy to try the 2 months. That's why I voted against 3 months. If the motion to stop the public session for 2 months had been left as it was, I would have supported that, and I think one or two of the other councillors would. So, in my view, that it didn't get through.
Okay.
Comment?
Anything on page 3?
Sorry to do a couple on page 2. It's really clarification for the members at the top of the page, RB 2017-1653. It referred to an application at top of Dog Kennel Hill. And I think we relied on it. I thought it was the other side of the road, but actually it was for next to Holmesfield. There was an application that was put in last year for 4 bungalows, and this one was a new application. Sorry, 3. This was a new application for 4. So as such, I've not put any objection because I think.
Why is your microphone?
Sorry, it is now. So it was just to clarify it for members that we thought it was across the road, when in fact it was one that had been approved last year for 3, but it's gone back in for 4. I have to say, having looked at the plans, the ones that went in for 3 last year were absolutely superb bungalows. These are a bit more squash, so that's the reason, as I said, I've not put an objection in, because it wasn't the scheme that we were thinking about. It wasn't the Greenbelt one, so it's just to clarify that for members. Okay.
Can I just, point of information from the clerk, can I just remind people, don't tap the microphones. If you tap the microphone, the amplifier doesn't like it if you advise you. Very polite.
It's all right. And if just on the next one, I might as well do this while we're at it, where it says receive the proposed development of Penny Peace Lane. I understand from the planners at Rotherham that an application for that will be going in January, February next year, a planning application. So we'll have to wait for that one to come in front of us.
Proposer and second opposed minutes.
Propose we accept.
Second. Ben. All those in favour? And we signed the amended minutes for the previous meeting. Item 6, to authorise sealing of documents naming exclusive rights of burial ground. We have some rights here. We've got 4. Proposer and second closed. Right. All those in favour? And if somebody's willing to sign. Yeah. Right, we're here. We'll pass them. Thanks very much. 7, to consider planning and licensing matters, transport issues, and to receive reports. So we've got list 47, 2017/1646, 12 Hillcrest Drive, Southampton, 2-storey extension and a single-storey front extension. Neighbours and plans? Yeah. Okay. Motion to leave those to neighbours and planners. 5. Bill. All those in favour? Very much. And 1697, neighbours and planners? Yeah. You want to talk about Arboriculturalist, sorry.
Do we know where Oaklands is? Which one it is? Is it down Quarry Lane? Oh, that's all right then, it's okay, I don't need to know.
Not George's.
No, that's what I was thinking, I couldn't remember.
It's further down, it's back towards me
That's
actually.
why I asked, we were going to declare an interest.
Sorry?
That's why I asked, because I know there's
Great,
no
so the arboriculturalist, anything?
That's why I asked.
Right, no, it's not that one.
One seconder. Thanks very much. All those in favour? He's not going to raise his hand if he wants to. They have got CPOs.
There's nothing contentious about this anyway.
Okay, conifer in the conservation area
Same
is 1710.
Same one.
Yeah,
Same
same
place.
Oaklands, I
Different
think.
list though.
Yeah, they have got TPO on.
Arboriculturalist.
Yeah.
Thanks. Seconder. All those in favour? Thank you. 1750, single story and rear, side and rear extensions at the Oval. We've got interest declared as neighbours.
Yeah.
Leave it to the planners. Phil's proposal.
I'll second.
Seconded. All those in favour? Thank you very much. 249. 1781, single story rear extension and some boundary walls on Dog Kennel Lane.
Can I just, I'm not sure whether members have picked this up, but this is a retrospective planning application because they'd actually started building the walls and gates front and side, and the gentleman who owns the house, I think, has obviously been advised to put a planning application in. So if you drive down there, which I've seen it the week, it's more or less built, but they've had to go back, so it's retrospective. So it's really down to the planners on that one, and because it does affect the neighbours more than anything else with the boundary wall. So I don't think it's anything that we can object to on that. So I'd leave it to neighbours and planners here.
Second for that. All again. All those in favour? Thanks very much. 1691, erection of dwelling house on land adjacent to 62 Devonshire Drive.
Again, I'm pretty sure that's being done.
Really?
Yeah, I was looking for space.
Yeah, it's the bungalow around the cul-de-sac at the end.
Yeah.
It's near enough done.
That's interesting.
It's very interesting. Are we sure it's not?
What we want to do, other things we want to do,
62, 64.
people are bothered with planning applications anymore. It seems to be a total disregard for them. I've been down there and I can't recollect seeing it on the corner of
You'll see.
Devonshire.
It's the one with the
This is in the back garden.
things going around.
Is it?
Might have the numbers mixed up. Might be other numbers.
Because we're not sure, should we just leave it to the planner?
Yeah.
They've obviously got the planning
Well,
application
if it's built, it will be a retrospective one again.
Maybe the numbers wrong.
Yeah, it's usually extensions and bits and pieces, but not a full dwelling house.
Okay, proposer, second by Miles. Bill, all those in favour? Okay, and we're on to item 8, as from previous meetings. So we have 8.1 in confidential, 8.2 in confidential, which takes us to 8.3. Councillor Ashton.
Is there any questions on the back that I gave to anyone by any chance? If not, I'd like to say that we approve this. Just simply because it's free. It's a free website that we can put all this information on, and it gives more contact to the public, and it's something that's widely used by everybody. And it's a quick and easy way to get information out. And if we stick to what I've put in that pack, where technically it is under the clerk's name just for the sake of ease, but it's managed by councillors, and everything is approved to be put up on there, we can do that every meeting. Nice and easy.
I'd like just to come in to remind councillors it was circulated.
Yeah.
I think just as a point from me that absolutely fine. I think Facebook's a really good way of putting that information across. I just wondered whether we needed more protections in terms of councillors kind of vetting of information that goes on there, whether it should go through the clerk or through volunteers. So it's completely apolitical.
Well, if it's approved in council, it doesn't matter who uploads it, does it? That's something. I'm just thinking less work for the clerk to do.
So we have a series of people that could put things on there.
Yeah.
Have the wording and put it
Well, anyone can put anything, even I would even think even a volunteer group could even put something on, as long as it comes here first and we say, yeah, that's fine for them to put it on the page. Why not?
Stuart and then Colin.
Yeah. Just to reiterate what you just said there about, well, first thing is, who's going to control it?
Well, there's very little control you'll need, because all you do is upload.
No, I mean...
Well, in that, like I said, we elect somebody, I volunteered myself.
That's what I'm saying, is, just going on a bit of what Drew was saying there is, there's people with different political views around the table. And if you're going to have, shall we say, an Anston Parish Facebook page, the only views that can be put on there officially are officially approved views.
Yeah, that's what
because we're speaking as a council, but we have people with different political views altogether. We have
I would say that
left-wing and right-wing views and independent views. So I've got very great reservations about having an official Facebook page. Somebody has got to control it, and who will that be?
Yeah, we have got time.
Well, I would say that there wouldn't be any views on there at all. They would just be documents. That's all. So like an agenda from like what we put on the website, an agenda, the video, link to the videos, that kind of thing.
I think one of the person sort of proposing the core of it is that we write a newsletter, but the newsletter only gets out to a specific section of the village, basically in terms of the demographics of the people that actually view it. It's a way of taking that material, the sort of announcements that we would normally make about bonfire night is on the X of November this year. There's that information. So we've got Colin, I think then we have Phil, and then I think Ben, and then Christine. Okay, fire away.
Right, thank you. As I understand it, this is not going to replicate the Parish Council website, is it?
Not entirely, no.
Well, in that case then, why is there not just a brief outline with a direct link to the Parish Council website?
You can do that as well. The only thing is, Facebook
does that not sound an easier and better option?
It doesn't reach as many people.
Well, I appreciate that if more people read social media than the Parish Council website. That's not a problem. What I'm saying is that you don't want to overload the Facebook page with information that can be already found on the Parish Council website. And I think that a brief outline plus a direct link to the Parish Council website would probably be a way of generating more traffic.
Well, that's one way, but again, we don't make announcements. Do we make announcements on the website? So things like that. So if we wanted to announce one day we're going to have a consultation day, we can announce it on there and reach 1,000 people instantly. On our web page, it'll disappear among all the links. The other thing as well is our website, if you try and use it on a mobile device or things like that, it's very hard. Facebook is set up as apps and things like that for people who really don't use computers anymore. They use phones and pads, which is all geared up for Facebook. And that's what I suggest for that.
Can I just remind councillors, brilliant discussion, but can we not reply to each other? Can we just go through each place and then Miles, you've got your
All right, okay.
Otherwise, we end up with 20 minutes. Okay, far away.
Yeah, Greg, would you, the administrator, that's all I'm concerned about, administration, because we know social media is great, but also it can have the adverse effect as well, with the negative people, the ones who wouldn't mind paying mine, and it's like, that is the only thing I'm concerned about. I've seen things put on Facebook, it's like, well, I actually realise this. And they don't, I'm just a bit wary that we'll not just help ourselves, but we might hurt ourselves at the same time. That's only my concern.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Last week, the founder of Facebook, before he sold it for $8.1 billion, said that he now considers it a very corrosive instrument and is not very cohesive in society. Perhaps we need to take care of that.
Yes, I'm a bit concerned. I'm sorry, Miles. But if this means a free-for-all, anybody can stick on what they like, then no, I would be against it. if you're going to say it won't be like that, who's going to police it and stop it becoming a free-for-all? We've already got the website. Anything that the public need to know can go on there. I can't see the need for something else.
Anyone else before right of reply?
Yeah, can I, has everybody else finished? Yeah, I'm not a user of Facebook or Twitter, and I just wonder if stuff is going on there. If I've not got access to it, then I can't see what's going on.
Sorry, Clive, could
sorry.
you speak into it?
Yeah, I still have no idea what's going on. Not that I'm particularly bothered, but I am concerned about what I know has happened in other areas where it's led to sort of abuse. Funnily enough, I was speaking to a friend of mine on Saturday night who had made some comments on Dinnington Forum about a particular subject, and he'd received no end of sort of abuse off that, and as a result he stopped using it, and he was quite shocked, I think, by what was directed at him. So I have no problem with us sort of like using it, but I think we need to make sure that it's well controlled, and I think if we do go down that road, then I'd like some sort of feedback in, I don't know, 3 months' time or something like that, to see how it's going, and if we're not happy with it, then I think council have got the right to change their minds. At this moment in time, I'll go along with it, see how it works, but I just need to make sure that what's going, we've got a lid on it, and it does, as one or two people said, it don't become corrosive and make things worse. If it makes things better, I'm all for it, but if it makes things worse, I'm not. Thank you.
I'm only speaking from a personal point of view.
Could you give Paul the microphone, please?
I don't use Facebook, I don't use Twitter, I'm a great non-believer in it. What would the advantage be over a Facebook, Twitter page to the website? My concerns are very similar to Christine's, the policing of it, because you hear of that many people trolling the sites or whatever they do on the things. Would anyone have open access to that site to post a comment? And how would the comments get onto the site? And who would police it?
Reasonable discussion. Can I just add one point before we go back to Miles? Maybe just from listening to I'm a great believer that it's going to be really useful. Let's target particularly younger people, if you don't mind me saying, that might not read the printed newsletter, but would read announcements on social media. Maybe to move things on, are we looking at initially setting up a Facebook page, but initially restricting it just to purely send out announcements that we would send out in other media?
Pre-approved announcements.
It is possible, people talking about trolling, it is possible as far as I'm aware to disable comments.
I've mentioned that in the pack as well.
It won't lead to comments and comments and comments. We can place an announcement that says, Bonfire Night is on Friday, Saturday, whatever it is, this year. Disable comments so you can't get loads of trolls.
It's going to be basically an online notice board. That's all it'll be. You can disable comments, so people can't even comment on it. It'll just have information on there, just pure information that'll be pre-approved here. And the only information that'll be on there will be, I don't know, like what we've got on the website, the agenda, a link to the YouTube video maybe, ever so often when we've got an event off, the date for that. And as Clive says, I have actually mentioned that I can do a screenshot. So I can just do a screenshot every meeting. This is what's happened. This is what's on there right now as you're looking at it. I think it's a great way forward of communicating with members of the public. As I said, it's free. It will just be a notice board. As I said, just to reiterate, just a pure notice board. There'll be no ability to make comments on there whatsoever. And that's all I have to say on that.
Chair, just before we go to vote, Chair, because we're going to the vote, can I ask the question again, is who's going to administer this? Because it could be time consuming, so we need to know who's going to administer it.
Putting that back in, ultimately it will be down to the clerk, because obviously at some point the people around this table might not be here anymore, so passwords and things need to be passed on. But again, we can nominate a councillor to do it, and I'd be willing to do it. It takes seconds to upload things to Facebook. I can do it on my phone. It's that easy.
Michael maintains the website at the moment, so it could be something that's very, very simple. It could just be delegated to Michael to also be your assistant to the
Yeah.
Can I have a proposal?
Propose that you give me permission to set up a Facebook page for the parish council.
I was just going to... Is it running for a trial period, did you say?
Sorry?
Is it running for a trial period?
Can it shout up, please?
Is it running for a trial period to assess the
If you want to
valence
amend it, you
the
can.
value of it?
The harm will be done by that.
If someone wants to amend it, we can see what happens if you like. It's just as easy to take it down as it is to put it up.
Does anyone want to make that amendment?
It's half time, we give it 3 months and then Miles
Yeah.
comes back and we see how it's
Yeah.
working.
In theory, nothing should come back.
We should.
Because there's no comments, like you see.
And if it doesn't work, then we've got option to not use it again, but I think we should give it a try.
Phil, do you want to make it? Yes.
Just very, very quickly, for people like me and Paul, perhaps, and Ben, who don't use Facebook, how will we be able to monitor how effective it is then?
Well, that's, the theory, you won't even be able to know because there'll be no comments on there. No one will be able to make any comments. It'll just be pictures on the screen, links.
But, yes,
and
but
like that.
you will have information that tells you how much traffic's been generated.
You can tell you how many people have watched the page. Just
Well,
like you can tell you this week
does
at
it tell you
5,000
how many
people.
times it's been watched, liked, or ticked, or whatever?
I can do that. But I think that's all it'll be. It'll be some 100 people have liked this.
Right,
That's all
fair
it'll be, that information. There'll be nothing
You say it's
useful.
free.
It's free.
Nothing in life is free.
Oh, it is. That's the beauty of it. You can, if you want to, you can pay to advertise.
Why is Facebook worth $8.6 billion then?
Because they put little, people do pay to advertise on there.
Yes, and
But
you
we're
get-
not advertising.
And
we're
if you
just-
go on and look at it, then you get the adverts from it as well.
Yeah.
You know, which is not something which.
It's personalised to your cookies. That.
Can we move to the vote, Chair?
Yeah. Can we move to the vote?
Okay, and we'll vote on the amendment first, as per procedure. So, this is the amended version, which is basically exactly what Miles said, plus a 3-month trial period, and then reviewed at the end of that. Is that the wording that you want?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. All those in favour?
So I'll bring that back to the next meeting, and I'll do a screenshot and show you all what it looks like.
Okay, 8-4, another councillor mentioned one.
Did that fall?
No, it was carried.
What was the number?
6.
1, 2, 3.
6. Did you vote for?
I voted for.
This is something which I've been wanting to do for a while. I've recently, I believe that as a council we need to know what the people of the village want, and there's a company out there which is willing to do a complete community consultation, find out what kind of what I did in a little report, but bigger and more professional. It's completely free. He can come and do a personal presentation, and he'll put together a pack of the results he finds, basically. Now, he's suggested 2 ways what we can do. We can either set up a working group to come up with ideas, or we can leave it to him and he'll go and find out itself and bring back the information to us. And all I want, before I go and ask him for this, is the permission from the council to do it. It won't do any harm at all. It's just finding out what people want so we can make sound decisions for the village, basically.
Can you just clarify that? Is that the proposal?
That's the proposal, to allow me to go and put a community plan together. Consult and then put a community plan together based
So
on the
to
consultation.
engage, you're asking us to engage these consultants?
We don't have to, but I would recommend it because they're full of information to use.
I'm just trying to get the word. What would you like us to do?
Just to authorise me to go and approach the person who's going to do the consultation.
Initially approach.
Yes.
Do we have a name for
It's Andrew Talbot.
Andrew Talbot?
Yes.
He's the guy that's doing Dinnington
Yes.
Town Council.
And Turcross, I think, as well. I think
Yeah, I know him, and I know his company.
Yes.
I have the problem.
Yeah. He gets all his money from the government. You see, we don't have to.
I'm just saying that. I know him. No, I have...
For the declaration of interest, right?
Well, yeah, I
What
don't...
was you thinking?
No, I do know him. He's the clerk at Ellaby as well. There is quite a lot of information kicking about from various parish questionnaires and bits of community plans that are there as a basis. I think the last questionnaire we did in 2015, 2015. I think I've got a copy of that
Survey
somewhere.
monkey.
Because I think we put about 500,000 questions on it, which seemed to be much at the time, and we tried to lop some off. So there is a basic thing there. I say I'm quite happy to be involved in that as well.
Yeah.
If you want, as I say, I know him, and I know his. I can't think of the name of the company. It's eluded me. But I do know. So I'm more than happy to try and help with that.
Speakers as it was Clive, Ben, Stuart, Clive. Do you want to carry on? No, I'm fine.
Yeah, just concerned that the comment made by Miles was that, you know, this guy goes off and asks questions in the village about, you know, what they want. Do we get to vet the questions first?
We can do.
I would have thought that any survey that, you know, I mean, statistical analysis of populations and what they want, etc., is an exceedingly complex business, and you have to be very careful about what question you ask, because questions can be asked in certain ways, as I'm sure you're aware, to get the right answer that you expect. So I would think that council must have the overriding say on the survey when it's conducted.
Yes, yeah. This is just to initially approach him to come and have a word with us.
Right, first question. First observation. Andrew Dinnington is doing a neighbourhood plan, which is different from a community plan. Or are you suggesting we do a neighbourhood plan?
No, it is going to be a community plan.
Because a neighbourhood plan, once it's passed, I think is legally binding. Right, the next question is, what's it for? When you've done a neighbourhood, when you've done a community plan, what are you going to use it for? What are you going to do with it?
We use that information.
Can I just ask?
Sorry, Drew.
Sorry, Miles. Can I just ask? Each make your point, and then Miles will make a list of these points and reflect them in one chunk.
Right. So my question is, what's the community plan for? What do you aim to do with it? Because we've had a community plan in the past, quite a few years ago, and there was a lot of time and effort, and I can't remember if there was money spent on it. There was definitely a lot of time and effort spent on a community plan, and then nothing that was in that plan was ever followed up or backed up or anything, and it was a waste of time and money and effort, in my opinion. Community plans are okay if you have an end achievement that you want to aim, and then you carry that aim out. To be honest, I'm sceptical, unless it's going to be a neighbourhood plan, which is a big undertaking. I'm sceptical about having a community plan.
Somebody give the man a microphone.
My question is the people of Anston at the moment have numerous ways of making their thoughts known to the council, etc. What would be the advantage of it over what we've currently got? And how would it be put into practice? And the results, how would they be measured, and who would do it?
Yeah.
Phil.
Yeah, I agree with Councillor Ryder there. We do have a lot of views given to us, different ways and forms. It just seems that what we're trying to achieve by this, I know we're looking at a community, but what's the goal? We're doing something for, what we like to, it's just like to know what it's for. What's your final goal? That's what I'm asking. We're going to do all this, and what we're trying to, the end product be.
Yeah.
I just had one question.
Is it me, Drew?
Oh, I'm so very sorry. I didn't know that's what you said. Do you mind if I speak and now?
I do mind, yes.
Okay. Very well. In that case, I will.
Right. I believe the end goal to have this, what's it called? Community plan. It would help with the skate park funding. Miles and I are involved with Freestyle Skate Park. They will apply for funding and for planning to is it to provide extensive, would that be right, Miles? Extensive amenities for the people of Anston. One of their requirements is a community plan. I don't think they will take this funding bid forward if there's no community plan. So if we can get that, it would help with the funding, which might answer your question. We have a real chance here of funding for this park.
One very short question from me. You said that the guy does it for free, or the company does it for free. Just where do they ultimately make it?
Government grants.
Cycle? Is it from the Hops Lifelong grant? Okay, Clive, final word.
Yes, final word. I'm going to try tie two things together here. There was an item on the minutes that I forgot to speak on, or ask a question on, which was 146/17, which was considered projects at a strategic level, which will impact on next year's budget. Now, I missed that last budget meeting.
Sorry, I can't do you, Clive.
Sorry?
I can't
There was an item, I'm just trying to link the two things together, Christine. There was an item about strategic level decisions, which I wasn't at the budget meeting. Was that resolution followed through? Anybody just update me on that? Well, it says the RFO to cancel the budget meeting, convene a separate strategic budget planning meeting, refer this to the budget working group. Did that?
It was. And your points that you circulated to us were raised.
Right. Well, just touching on what Miles and Christine said, what I want that consultation to do, or that committee plan, is to pull this building into it, because we need a consultation on that. This is the thing that's stopping a lot of things moving forward, because you need that consultation as part of your bid. Now, can I just ask the members of the public to stop talking, please? We need to, that can be part of that, because we might as well use the preparation of that community plan for all for the consultations for the skate park and for this building and for whatever else. And if we've got that done, we can move to the next phase on a lot of things. But until you do that community plan, if you've got a community plan and a consultation, it adds weight to any bids that you put in for funding. So I support that. I think it's a good way of moving on. I know that's how they work. They do that. They put the funding bids in, and then they have their percentage. It's like a no-win, no-fee sort of thing. So the risk is with them to a certain extent. So if we get funding, I'm more than happy. They've done the work. They deserve the money. They get their percentage. But it moves us on. It takes a lot of weight off councillors trying to have to do it. And it's done in a more professional and quicker manner, I would hope. So I'm quite supportive. I think we should try that. I know Drew is meeting with other funding applicators, but the more the merrier. The more strings you've got to your bow, the more chance you've got of succeeding at the end of the day. So I'm happy to support that.
Okay, Miles, over to you. Right on the line.
So for what it's used for, again, it's kind of been touched on by what Clive said. No funders will touch you to give any money unless they know that you've done otherwise it's just 15 people in the room who've decided they want to get a new parish hall. They want to know what the money will benefit the wider community, and they want proof of that, and that can be done through consultations. It's also, we can use that same information to put that plan together, and as long as we follow that plan through, it gives us a clear path on where to spend his money on and where to prioritise spending his money on, which I think really what we should have done that years ago, so we know what to spend his money on to start with. As an advantage over one or two people coming in the room, this will be a village-wide thing, so we won't just get one or two people's very specific opinions. It will be a very large view of what the village wants as a whole, instead of what one or two people want who happen to know how to get to us. And at the end of the day, we're here to represent people, and we're representing them in this way. We'll have their view, and I feel we can represent them a lot better with that view, which is why I want to approach this person who will then come in and explain how he will put this together a lot better than what I can. Just to reiterate his funding, it's not actually funding from our bid. He don't get money from that, he actually gets it from an outside government source which gives it to him, so it won't cost us anything at all. And when he comes in, I think we should set up a working group. That's another thing. So I'd like to propose that you allow me to go and approach the company run by Andrew Tarleton to ask him to come here and tell us how he can put this consultation together.
Chair, can I just have a clarification? 'Cause it says here to authorise Councillor Manship to draft a community plan. Are you now saying you want to propose that
It will allow
Andrew
me to draft.
Towlerton comes to us to speak to us first,
I would, yes, just to amend that
rather
slightly,
than to approve a community plan?
which will allow me to do that, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So to allow you to organise a meeting with the individual.
Yes.
For him to come and give us a
Come
presentation.
and give us a presentation. Great. Okay, seconded. All those in favour? Thanks very much. Carried. Councillor Manship. He has waited for quite a few meetings.
I have. This has been on for
To get
ages.
some of these things. 8.5 to authorise Councillor Manship to obtain informational quotes for the region reinstating the. So we had some discussion about this at the budget meeting.
Yes.
So ideally we'd like to keep this section
Yeah.
of the discussion
It's slightly changed anyway. As you're aware, you do know I work for printers. However, I have had advice on this, and I'm going to take my company out of it completely. So my company won't provide any quotes for this whatsoever. However, what I can do is provide advice on how we approach it and how we can get better quotes than what we were doing last time. So what we were having our newsletter printed on last time was top-end paper in full colour. In wood sets, they have it done, black and white and standard paper. It's a lot cheaper. I have approached the people who do the Your Mag deliveries, and they haven't got the quote to me yet, but they're going to give me a quote to deliver to that estate as well in the full village, so we can get it delivered. However, what I want, because a lot of people mentioned at the AGM meeting that they wanted the newsletter back, which is what's made me put this back on here. And I'm a big believer of communicating with people. So I want authorisation to go and see quotes from other printers, that is not the one I work for, to bring back here, and also for the delivery of the newsletter as well. And I just want to make sure that it's alright for me to go and do that before I go out and do all the work and find out no one wanted it to start off with.
I had one question. So I had one point, then Stuart, and then Christine. Anyone else? Ben? What? You want to?
No, I'm just saying I'm not Councillor Manship clarified.
The only point that I had was it makes sense to investigate all of the options. I think it's a really good idea. All of the options. We've got everything, as Clive said, from a single sheet of black and white A4, the option of a advert in something like Your Mag, just to get some point across. Maybe you could think about how it's delivered and volunteer deliverers or putting things in supermarkets and collection shops. I was just wondering, can you put together something that's sort of quite comprehensive of all of the options?
Very new.
So now we're over to Stuart, Christine, to Ben. Anyone else?
There are two quick points. I'll go back to the point we made before. I don't see why we're obtaining quotes, because we stopped the newsletter to save thousands of pounds a year for a newsletter that wasn't widely read. We've only had, I think, one member of the public who spoke at the annual meeting saying he wanted it reinstated. We made the offer that it's electronic and any member of the public who wishes a copy can have a copy, but nobody's come forward and asked for a copy, from what I'm aware. I think, as well, because, I won't go into detail, because she was involved in the printers, could I suggest that you get the names of the companies and you forward them to the clerk, and the clerk could then possibly email the companies from the council point of view, and it takes you out of the picture altogether.
Okay.
It's just a safeguard for yourself.
Yeah, if you go through the correct procedure for the quotes, that won't stop you getting one from Brailsford, will it?
I can suggest it. Well, it's better if I don't.
Is it the company that's not keen on the idea?
No, just it looks better from a public point of view.
Yeah,
But again, it can still be applied for as long as I declare my interest when it is.
Yeah, but I would like to pick up on what Stuart said. We did originally want to save money, so we cancelled it, but we did agree to leave some copies in public places. And I'm not sure what happened at the vote that you proposed to stop that. I I don't see any reason why we can't have a limited number for public places, but I certainly don't see a need to go back to one for every house.
Can I just come in with a point of clarification from the clerk before we go to that? It was the resolution, as far as we're aware from memory, was that if somebody requested a hard copy, they could have one. But actually, today, nobody has requested one.
I think there were two, actually.
Yeah, the question I've got really is, or the point I want to make is, nothing appears to have changed since we voted on this last time, approximately a year ago. I'm just a little bit surprised that we seem to be wanting to go towards electronic passage of information, and here we now want to take a retrograde step in going back to paper again, and it just surprises me that the person who's proposing it is an advocate of electronic means of conversing rather than snail mail.
Colin.
Yeah, thank you. Ben has partly picked up what I was going to say. I honestly can't see the point in having a Facebook page and a newsletter. Why can't you use your Facebook page to put out the information that's going to be in the newsletter?
You can.
And if the Facebook page is free, as you say, we get the information out. I am not convinced, thank you. Nobody's presented any figures that said there's an overwhelming demand for this newsletter. And people should know what's going on. But the newsletter, I don't think, was as widely read as something. It was distributed, but it wasn't as widely read. And I think if you're going to have a Facebook page, then you can put the information on there, and we don't need a newsletter.
Good point.
Anyone else? Fine.
Can I just add a quick word? I think this ties back into, in my view, to the community plan, because I think nobody's saying we're going to set a newspaper up. All Miles is asking for to get some sort of idea of quotes and options that we've got. But I think that if you do the Facebook, I mean, I'm a paper person, I'm not electronic, I still prefer to write and scribble and stuff. But I think it does no harm to have a look at it, and I think what you could do is part of the community plan, because you're going to do some sort of questionnaire to get some feedback. We can get the prices, we can get everything else set up, but I think when we move to that stage of community planning questionnaire, this should be one of the questions to try and give us some sort of steering. If there's sufficient people say yes, we would like it, then we've got some sort of support for it, if you like. There's some people that want it, and I think that a lot of stuff should come out of that community plan and the questionnaire as to the direction we go. And if people are saying we don't want this, we don't want that, then they're the ones that put it. It's their money that we're spending. We should take that on board, and I think that's what the community plan is all about, to give us some steer as to what we do. If it comes back that they said they want a newspaper as well, then we'll consider it. But if it helps us progress as a council and it supports any bids for more money, and the more transparent we become with people, consult with them more, then I don't think it can do us any harm. So at the moment we're only asking for prices, we're not making a decision. I think this should all feed back into that. Likewise, the Facebook page, again, you can say, are people aware of this? It all feeds back into that consultation.
In response to that, would it not be better not to vote on it and leave it until the community plan is done?
I think we're all doing is giving Mars approval to go and get some facts and figures and options, and then come back and then you can feed that into that plan. But we've got the information ready then, haven't we? We're not starting. We've
that community plan for 6 months down the road.
Well, it can, but if you've got the information there, it's quicker to make a decision, isn't it, than saying we've got to start.
It don't work that way.
The quotes will be out of date if you do it that way.
That's all I was thinking of. Are we wasting time in the first place?
Right, so
I get to finish.
in terms of proposal,
Well,
do you want to restate the proposal?
just to reiterate again, the idea is I want the information, what we do here, to reach as many people as possible. Not just, mainly the good things, to be honest with you. I mean, it's good PR to make as many people aware of what you're doing for the village as you possibly can. At the moment, people haven't got a clue, which is why this is why all these proposals have been kind of a similar theme tonight. So I want to propose that you allow me to go and obtain various quotes for printing a village newsletter with the delivery.
Can I make an amendment? Right. The amendment was going to be is how many quotes you're getting? 3.
I can get more than 3, but I think 3 is a good start.
So it's to authorise councilmanship to obtain quotes, a minimum of 3.
Yeah.
Well, if he agrees to it.
Yeah. I'm happy to do at least. I'm going to do at least 3. There we go. I tried.
Good job, Matt.
I've been waiting for 6 months for everything on here, by the way. So,
Go on then.
what's happening? That's my question.
What's happening?
Yeah, I think it was nearly a year ago, wasn't it, that we, in the last finance meeting last year, that we put some money aside for this, and
I think part of that discussion probably needs, thinking about it actually, probably needs to happen in confidential session because it's contractual. So I had a look so past the council last year to look at hosting, things like that. And I think there are economies perhaps to be made.
yeah.
But that really needs to be confidential because it's contractual.
Okay.
I just want to make a quick observation is, you're right, I don't think it's confidential. We did put money aside, I think, in the reserves at last year's budget meeting. But the question I was going to ask is to receive an update, and I wasn't even aware we had a new parish website.
We haven't.
I take it we haven't even
No,
discussed
we
it.
voted to make it happen.
So really it needs to come back on next month's agenda to discuss whether we're going to upgrade or have a new website.
I thought we already agreed to do it. We already agreed to do
It
it.
was, we spoke about it in the budget meeting, but it wasn't agreed at a council meeting, I don't think.
Yeah.
No, all you do in the budget meeting, and when you approve the budget, you're approving the finance. You're not actually approving
You're not
the
authorising
actual.
it to happen technically.
Yeah, it needs to come back to a council meeting. Yeah. Can I suggest that it comes back next month to discuss updating the parish website? At least we start from.
You've got quite a lot to be going on.
At least we start from a proper position of going through the proper process.
One quick comment. I did try and push for this because I think it's, and I don't want to be upset anybody, but I think it's awful what we've got at the moment. It wants rejigging altogether. If I were aware, I'd have a new parish logo as well, but that's another matter. But I would like to see budget consultation 2015 removed, and also what else is the parish plan questionnaire 2014-15. But get a copy of that, Miles, before it gets, if it ever gets taken off. But they're irrelevant, as they should be. If they're not relevant, they should be taken off the website as soon as possible, because it only confuses people. If you see something on saying budget 15-16, and it's like, well, what happened to 16, 17, 17, 18? So get rid of stuff that's not relevant.
Do you think, just while we're on this, do you think instead of bringing it to a meeting, it sounds like, because people have ideas of what one should look like, do you think a working group should be set up for this?
No, I think that's probably a good idea.
Not a committee, a working group.
We can't do that today.
So shall I propose? Because then we can pull ideas, bring them back to council to be agreed on as a working group. So nothing else that we can be somewhere random. Then, can't
Are we happy to set up a working group? We can do that without being on the agenda.
So I make a proposal.
Miles?
Propose it.
Well, so I'm going to make the proposal as well.
You're going to make a proposal.
Yeah.
Second, are we happy to second this proposal?
Yeah, we'll bring
Great. All those in favour of setting up a working group? Brilliant, thank you.
Thank you.
And members of the working group, Councillor Manship?
Yep, we're committed.
I don't mind doing it.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Can I ask that you go on the group, because you're fairly au fait with, you're fairly au fait with computers and websites and that, are you?
I guess Miles's as well, so we can get those.
Yeah, two minds are better than one.
We've got
Sorry, two.
That's
It's up to you, it's your personal choice, but yeah.
Yep.
I mean, the idea of bringing examples back and show
Anyone
other
else
websites.
interested in... we've got three of them,
Yeah.
not to sit down and...
It's a working group, it's not...
we should probably invite Michael to one or two of those meetings.
Yeah.
Put my name down as well, if I've got time.
Okay.
Yep.
Great. But Miles will bring that back.
Yeah.
Will you email us with the date?
8-7
Yeah.
and 8-7 and 8-9 have gone into confidential. 8, do you mind if I, just for the sake of being reasonably expedient, this came from a YLCA circular. I think in summary, it's something to make yourselves aware of the GDPR regulations which are on their way in. I don't think that we need to employ a data protection officer given the extra duties that the new rules will impose. But I think, just to move things on, I would like to make a proposal under this one that we authorise GDPR training as required for members of staff.
Yep, I'll second that.
Generally speaking, it doesn't make an awful lot of difference.
Can I just come in quickly? Can I just come in quickly? This is, as I said, it's a new directive that's coming in next year from EU. It's a lot of the regulations apparently, or how it's going to operate on the town and parish council level, is still up in the air. Now, the National Local Councils Association, they're still lobbying government to try and find out how it's going to affect town and parish councils, and if it is going to affect them, they're trying to find out so they can lobby them further for any funding that might be needed. So although we should take note that it is coming in, there will be some changes possibly with encryption on computers. At the moment, I would say we'll agree for the training if it's required, but it's just watch really what's happening as it comes through on the newsletters from NALC and YALC.
So we've got Ben and Clive.
Yeah, Chairman, when you ferret around amongst the weeds of this piece of insidious European legislation, the GDPR, there are two questions that immediately spring to mind. What's the cost and who? And I think you've partly answered the who. It disturbs me that on a general level it's mandatory for local authorities to have a DPO. If you're a commercial organisation, then you have to fit one of two other main criteria, and that is that does that organisation process or store large amounts of personal data, and that leads to the question of us, and are we involved in core activities that involve regular and systematic monitoring on a large scale of where we conduct large-scale processing of special categories of personal data, the likes of race, ethnicity and religious beliefs. I don't believe that we record those in our records of our employees or of anybody else. So I certainly believe that we do none of the above there, and that we should seek further guidance and conduct further research. We've 5 months left before we need to appoint a person.
Great, so we've got Clive and Colin.
Yeah, can I just to make a point? If you read through that information from NAL, you'll see that you're the £35 data controller or a £500 one. I'm a £35 as a borough councillor because I am a data controller, so I have to register with the ICO. I went to a seminar a couple of weeks at Rotherham, and all borough councils are going to have to be registered, I think, as part of a national edict, if you want to better all the words. So they'll all have to pay £35 each at the moment. I think councillors that belong to a political party are being covered by a blanket registration, and the ICO's decided that's not good enough, plus there's money to be made. So I think what you'll have to do is I have to fill a form in that says exactly what you deal with, what you have access to, what you do with that information, and then they make a decision to a Senate as to which category you fall under. And I think it also depends on the number of employees, but as Ben says, it really, there's a list to go through as to what you deal with, and you have to sort of tick the boxes. It's just a broad description of the way this organisation, data controller, processes personal information. So it's a question of which bracket you fall into, and what the Borough Council as a whole will have a data controller, because obviously they have a lot of information in and out, so they've got to have one appointed. In fact, they've got one already. So it really breaks down as to what the parish council's remit is and what they do with it. I think, as Ben says, we wait until we get information from NALC, because I'm sure this has got to be finalised, you know, from everybody's point of view. So.
Over to Colin, and then can we wrap up with this?
No, thank you. General Protection of Data Regulations. There it is. I know NALC do a lot of work, but I prefer to download my information from the government website. Now, I'm not going to read all of it, but what it says is, at its core, the GDPR is about the rules organisations and businesses must follow to ensure they are protecting personally identifiable information. But the core phrase, many of the GDPR's main concepts and principles are much the same as those in the current Data Protection Act. So if you're complying properly with the current law, then most of your approach to compliance will remain valid under the GDPR. The DPA protects data. The GDPR is actually only about the way you process it, and there is no great need, in my view, for training. You just need to be aware of what it says.
Well said, Colin. I think it's just one of those things where actually we have the toughest data protection legislation in Europe pretty much. And it actually seems that it's the information commissioner's way of making a little bit of cash out of implementing a directive.
Yeah, if as and when this progresses, I'm sure we can get the local authority to do some sort of, unless YLCA do it, because they may have to go organise one for parish council, so we could put that on that training regime that we're trying to set up, and as if we get a better idea, I'll see if we can get one organised, parish council and clerks to attend, because no one knows to some of these other things. Yeah, Sonny's, yeah, so that's the clerk. Yeah, so we'll progress it down that route, I think.
So actually at this point, I don't think there's anything that we need to authorise that goes beyond Anna's delegated powers to protect training and things. So we'll leave that one there if everybody's happy with that.
Yeah.
Great. 8 is...
Sorry, Chair. Are we giving the clerk delegated powers?
Well, the clerk has delegated powers to pay for small incentives like Jack.
Well, the point I'm making is, if we're giving the clerk delegated powers to authorise staff to go on courses on this, then we need to vote on it.
Well, she's already able to do that anyway under her current delegated powers, isn't she? Because we're only talking about very cheap Rotherham Borough.
If there will be no charge on the floor, if RBC provides.
I'm just pointing, it's expenditures.
Do you want to make a proposal?
Right. I propose that we give delegatory powers to enable the clerk to approve sufficient training for staff as required.
At reasonable cost?
It will be reasonable cost, yeah. It's reasonable cost anyway.
I'll second that.
Yeah. It just...
Yeah.
Go straight to the votes? Yeah. All those in favour?
It just dots the I's and crosses the T's.
Okay. 8:10. We discussed it. Are you happy just to?
Yeah, it was just that we were doing that, and it's just to maintain the level of the grass so people can still access it.
It was cut about 3 or 4 weeks ago, although it's not had what I call a trim cut. It's had a rough cut.
Well, at the moment, because half of it is not half of it.
We suggest we leave the trim cuts until after they've finished.
Yeah. Well, they're supposed to reinstate it anyway. Yeah. It was just to make sure we kept on top of the grass. I think we sorted that out, didn't we?
Taking up after the other.
Yeah,
anyway.
so they'll leave it till they've looked
Oh,
at it.
good, right, okay.
So just to clarify, Alan will continue, unless anyone has any significant
No,
objections,
carry
Alan
that
will just
me-
continue
that
using
regime.
delegated powers to cut the grass
Yeah.
multiple times a year. No objections there?
No.
Okay. Councillor Sadler to receive a report on action taken regarding dog fouling on the green.
Well, this is all history. How long has this been on? Pardon? Right, what happened was... What happened was there was such a big problem on the green, as in other parts of the country, that I distributed leaflets round the green asking residents if they would inform me or the dog warden if they could give any details, because obviously you need to catch these people, or at least have a description and time for the dog wardens to follow it up. What's happened is the problem is not as bad as it was, so I did want to ask if council would approve some signage. Can we do that now, or does it need to come back?
It's to receive a report, so it needs to come back.
You just put it on another agenda, put it on the next agenda.
Next one?
Yeah. put it
Yeah.
on the next agenda.
You have to.
You can't take
Yeah,
it.
can I ask Anna now to put it on the next agenda to approve signage for the green?
The cost will be there.
I thought we'd approved something down here.
We've approved it, and haven't we got a load of dogs?
I found a piece of paper that was there, so I'm looking into it.
So we can...
Are you looking into signs, Stuart?
Will do when I get down to it.
Oh,
We can
okay,
answer that.
right.
Paul.
Can I just ask Christine, is it that the dog fouling was by people with... Yeah? Can I just ask, is it the dog fouling was from people on the green, judging by what it's saying, or people outside of the green area? You know, the houses around it.
Well, people do walk over there, Paul. It
But what I
is
mean
a
is
public right of way,
Yeah.
and there was no way of knowing who was doing it.
Right. Because all it was, you said letters were distributed to people around the green, not around the village, for example.
No, not up to that.
Right. So is it a bit greener now than it was?
The problem is better than it was.
Right.
That might just be accidental. I mean, the dog that was doing it might have died.
Just the one.
Or the owner might have died.
Sounded a bit godfathery, that.
Just you look after your dog, Paul. Don't bother about the green.
Unfortunately, the dog's dead. Unfortunately, my dog's dead.
It's been taken out.
All it was, did we not have some spare signs from, you know, when we ordered those before? Could we not nail one of them on the green? Or would that offend the people on the green if we nailed the sign?
I don't care about offending the people on
No,
the
what I
green.
mean is...
The green belongs to the people of Anston,
That's what I mean.
not the residents.
That's recorded now.
Yeah, good.
So what you mean, Chris?
Brown as it was.
So you're looking into signage for here on the green.
Just very, very quickly, Christine, isn't there a doggy poo bin up on the green?
Is there a what?
A dog poo bin.
I expect, quite wrongly as it happens, that people will take it home, Colin.
Well, no, but there are dog poo bins scattered around the village. I just asked you, is there one on the green?
No.
Thank you.
Is there?
Okay, you answered the question.
No, I don't think there is.
Okay.
Not that I know of.
Well,
But even,
surely that's more important to start with. Put a dog poo bin up with a sign.
well, they won't use it. They don't pick it up.
All right, I'm not going to discuss it.
Oh, okay. So maybe you could bring that back to the agenda next time.
Stuart's looking at signage in his capacity as temporary admin.
And then the council needs to approve.
A dog poo bin.
Well, we've already approved signage for here.
We have approved signage from there, and I think particularly in cases of the green, we're often held to account on process.
I think you make too.
Follow process.
If you make too much of that situation, you'll dig yourself into a hole.
I was looking to the cost.
With the poo goes.
Yeah. We'll get the cost. Well, Stuart won't.
This is what annoys me about Christine. You make
Are you declaring an
oh, they won't use it, but how do you know it?
An interest? What sort of an interest?
Fine, thank you. 8.13 has gone into confidential, 8.12 has gone into confidential, 8.4, this one was one,
What
like
about?
we expand upon it. When we discussed this a couple of months ago, we were basically saying that very little business is passing through the Finance Committee as it is at the moment. Attendance isn't that great, and perhaps it's time to send some more business in the direction of that committee. Clive, did you want to comment on that?
I'll get after this one. I think you've summed that up fairly well, actually. It was really because when you look at the business or the agenda for the Finance Committee, there's not a great deal other than cheque signing and various other things and going through the accounts. And Stuart will recollect, and other people will, that the Finance meetings used to have quite a considerable amount of business on them, and I think what we're doing is we're putting everything in front of full council, and maybe some items can be dealt with there to take the weight out of this meeting sometimes, so we can get through stuff and actually have some reasonable discussion. So it was purely that I floated the idea that when we'd maybe look at putting different things on the agenda that are relevant and trying to get through business that way, because I think it's a wasted opportunity, because that and the charity meeting are fairly quick on both. We have 2 a month, and I think at least one of the charity meetings we could try and build a bigger agenda into it if it's relevant. But it's just, as I said, I just think it's a wasted meeting, and we don't get many people there. Whether that will bring them in or not is a moot point. But I think we should try and as I say, use them as a vehicle for getting through some business and take the pressure off some of these council meeting agendas. They're obviously far too long, too complicated.
I think a lot of the quote stuff could go to that. Yeah, the authorisation to seek quotes sorts of items. It's already got power to spend. It's already got power to decide. We've got Stuart and then Miles. Anyone else?
Can I just confirm it's got powers to spend?
Yeah, we checked 5 minutes
Right,
ago.
okay, because there's a question there. Yeah, I think it's a good idea to start putting some more agenda items on that meeting. Because again, for the few councillors that do turn up, I think last meeting, previously we've had a vote on whether we should change the quorum, and at least 3 people who voted against that quorum that hasn't turned up to a meeting since. But I think we should start using that a bit more. We get through more business and it will reduce the length of this agenda. It's what we used to do. We had no problems with it. For some reason, the only one thing I think we need to check is, when Michael turns up, he's chair of the he's the clerk to the charity and the finance. I think we might have to seek his approval if he wishes to sit taking notes for council issues. But all right, I'm happy with that.
Could I just double check that? Will these quotes and financial things go straight to that meeting, or they come here for approval first? Will they go straight there? I mean, we won't see them on here, they'll just go straight to the finance.
They can go.
Because that would make more sense than us giving approval.
That's what we were saying.
Yeah.
So we were proposing, say, your authorisation to seek quotes.
Yeah.
So you came to us today to not to spend necessarily, but you actually just came to authorise the permission to seek the quotes in the first place. If you wanted to do that, you've got to get it onto this agenda. It's quite possible there's a finance meeting before it will help speed things up, and it will help distribute the load between those two committees.
Okay.
Yes, Chairman. Having been to a few of the Finance Committee meetings, they're not well attended by other members of the council, and if the sole arbiter of financial decisions rests just purely with that committee, and I think it's 5 is the quorum requirement. You've got effectively decisions being made by a third of the council that are binding on the rest. Now, I don't think that's really democratic.
Can I come back on that? Can I come back on that?
Well, is that right?
No, they don't turn up then.
No, they don't turn up. That's
Chair.
It might improve attendance.
Chair, can I come back on that? I agree I agree with what you're saying, but the point with this not being democratic, it is democratic. Every councillor is invited to every finance meeting. All right, I appreciate some people can't get there for various reasons, but there's a set number of people who, in my personal opinion, just don't bother to turn up at all. And it's the other people are turning out in wind, rain, snow, whatever, and they're riding on the backs of those people. While it may seem undemocratic to have only 5 or 6 people doing it, they're the people that are turning up. And when they do that, they act on behalf of the council. And it would only be the same as if tonight only 5 councillors turned up. We could make democratic decisions on lots of cost items. So really, although I see the premise behind what you're saying, it's still democratic because every councillor has a chance to turn up. I'm quite sure I've been in a council meeting when we've had 5 and we've made major decisions.
I suppose there's no democratic deficit necessarily, because actually what we're talking about is not a democratic deficit, but an attendance deficit. So if councillors turned up, they can vote. If they don't turn up, they can't vote.
I feel I must respond. That's all well and good, but we have, if you're a councillor who wants to be involved, there are that many different committees now that we're members of, and I'd like to remind you, that we are volunteers, and attending every single meeting every week, is a high ask, I think.
Could I come back on that? Every councillor knows before they sign up to be a councillor that they won't get paid. Every councillor should know there are meetings. They are needed to be here to vote. It's simple. It's no good whinging on. More than that. Yes, there's committees, Kevin, thank you.
You're elected to the two of them. One council. You've conducted yourselves fairly well this evening.
Don't spoil it.
At this point, only because that decision was being made.
Praise indeed.
Can I just make one comment? We're not adding new meetings in to make it more onerous for people. We've been having this finance and charity twice a month for 2 and a bit years, so it's not come as a surprise to anybody. And people have all, whatever, there's still a council meeting at the end of the day where minutes are going to be brought up and issued, so we're not denying anybody the right to... Excuse me, can you just be quiet? So we're not denying anybody the right to speak or have their say. I mean, if they can't get to a meeting, they can always put things forward through the chair to be brought up the meeting. I mean, I did that at the budget meeting, and that was fine. I couldn't get, but I was allowed to put suggestions forward. I think that's always the case. So as I say, we're not proposing extra meetings. All I'm trying to do is make sure we get through some of, and as I do, Ben, we sat here, we've not got through half of some of these council meetings sometimes. And it seems we're wasting an opportunity when we've already got some meetings in place that any earth-shattering decisions are going to come back to council anyway. What we're talking about is fairly straightforward stuff that is accountable. It'll still be on camera. Members of the public will be here. They're not going to be denied access, so I don't see why there's a change. So I'd like to put forward the proposal that we change it as we've got there in terms of reference to the Finance Committee to allow them to take additional business and try and put the load on the full council meeting. No. If it's financial, it goes into confidential, whichever meetings it is at. So there is no difference.
The previous council had a finance.
Was that a proposal?
That was a proposal.
What was the proposal again?
When we change it in terms of reference to the Finance Committee to, I don't know how that wants to word that. It's really just
finance and to change it to a finance and general purpose meeting. That's what it used to be.
That used to have bigger agendas in the council.
So the proposal.
But that was the reason they went back.
Yeah.
So the proposal would be. So the proposal will be is to change the terms of reference for the Finance Committee to be the Finance Committee, the Finance and General Purpose Committee, which will include the discussion of council issues.
I think we should be more specific. Because if the purpose of that meeting is for finance matters, so we need to be specific with write a quote straight away goes to that meeting. We don't have to see it here. Or
do you want to say something along the lines of and other matters with financial implications? Finance and
well, see that. What will that will do?
I don't want to leave it open to interpretation, though. That's what I'm thinking.
Right, well, that meeting does have power to act, decide, and does be unique. So at the moment, it has the powers already. It's just more a case of we're not necessarily proposing to change the powers it has. We're just proposing to shove more business onto that.
What we're trying to do is enable us to put some more council business on that meeting to enable us to spread it. But if you restrict it to finance, then that will exclude some of the items we wish to put on. And that's why in the past it was the Finance and General Purpose Committee. It allowed you to put council items on.
No, I don't.
No, I'm not a fan of that.
I'm not convinced of that because it's too grey and woolly. Who decides whether it should go on that particular agenda or not, or come to full council?
What used to happen before? We used to have a council meeting. And we
convince me.
Right, right. We used to have a council meeting, then we used to have a finance and general purpose meeting.
Yeah.
Obviously, we put items on the council meeting and we discussed them, etc. If there was items in between the monthly council meetings that needed discussing between the monthly meetings, you had an opportunity to put them on the finance and general purpose meeting to get things like planning, to get them discussed. So you could discuss general items or council items on that meeting. It's just an extra meeting. All the same rules are followed, everything, as in a normal council meeting. The only difference is there's finance on the end of it or beginning of it. Yeah.
Even though,
just for the sake of kind of restoring some order to the debate, Paul, and then
could it not be like a finance planning committee, and then anything that's put on it that would potentially have a financial implication is actually put on it, rather than just call it general purpose? So could it not be a financial planning meeting?
I think, hearing the different sides of the debate that we've got, I'm not sure we're necessarily going to get...
Just to open it up, that's all I was thinking.
I think you're right. Perhaps if for now we were just to send matters that have got clear financial components to them, to that committee, it doesn't require any changes in terms of reference, but if we've got quotes, we've got things like that that are clearly financial, how about we have a couple of months of trying sending those agenda items to that committee, giving us a bit more time and council.
More members of the public.
If the finance meeting's already got powers to decide and to act, as it were, well, any financial matter then we can discuss there anyway. We don't need to change the terms of reference. So, in effect, if we wanted to have council items, well, what you're proposing won't work because we can't add council items if we haven't got a financial attachment to them.
Well, it's council financial matters, isn't it? That's what you mean. It's so members of the public know which meeting to come to, really, because if you want to see what we're spending, you go to the finance meeting.
Look at the agenda and decide whether they want to come.
Do we send out finance committee
No,
agendas to the
we don't
members of
send
the public?
anybody out in the finance committee. The only time we would send somebody out, we have powers to exclude the public on finance, providing it comes within the criteria. It's just that at present, most of the items we don't exclude the public.
No, I mean, so a member of the public would know they come to a council meeting to see what we discussed there, but then they know if they should or not come to a finance one, so they know what all will be discussed there will be financial matters instead of projects. I don't know how to word it, like the general stuff that council talked about is what people...
I'm going to intervene here and say I think this needs more thought on all fronts. So
I'm for it. Just be specific about it.
Financial onto that, something else that's financial, other than just the statutory standing items that end up on that. You chair that meeting. So contact the chair and the clerk in the meantime. Let's have a think about it over Christmas and see what we want to do. Are we happy to defer?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just conscious that...
Tonight's not a bad agenda on the parish council meeting, but again, we had issues like, I had an item on from last December that got discussed last month, and that's not acceptable to anybody, public, councillors or whatever, and I think we need to rationalise this and make sure we're not putting too much on a council agenda. And we look at just moving stuff about. We're not short-circuit anything. We've got the powers in that meeting. It's just that I think we need to revisit where we started off from and make it easier for everybody to get through business and move forward. Because at the moment in time, we're not on a lot of issues, and we're not picking things up for a month. And the finance, to me, the finance committee meetings are, and this is no slight on you, Miles, they're a waste of time.
True.
Okay, let's just, I'm just going to park Mr.
Sorry.
Here.
Can I just want to know.
Well, Paul was here before you. Paul, would you like to...
Mine was just to change it to like the financial implications committee, then it opens it up slightly.
Oh, that's a good word.
Because it
makes no difference.
leads it so that then something like Clive's, for example, that needed a decision, it can be there first and then brought if there's need be. Then it's already part way there. So, rather than us waiting months and then saying, this got missed. Or anything with a financial implication goes to it. And then if it enters,
we don't make decisions quick enough to do with finance.
Okay, Christine.
I just want to know, when is this going to come back? I don't want it dropping off the radar.
We don't want it dropping off the radar. Well, you could bring it back, but Clive and I will bring it back.
We'll bring it back.
What is going to be minuted then? Is it coming back? Right, thank you.
We'll construct a concrete suggestions that Clive and I will use it. We'll go from there. Brilliant. So it's 10 to. We've got 2 items left to discuss, and they should be very, very brief. 9.1, which is discuss or approve payment of a Christmas meal to staff. I think there are opinions on either side of the spectrum for this one. Without too much discussion, I think it's really a yes or no whether you want it or
I
not.
want to ask who put it on the agenda.
Christine.
Why are you trying to cover it up?
It's there in black and
Christine, would you
white.
like to read out the agenda?
Please proceed.
Right. We've had a fairly well-ordered meeting. You're going to get your chance to speak. What I'm saying is it's 10 to. We need to go into confidential session. The public, who have been conducting themselves very well this evening, have got some time to make some comments. This is an item where pretty much every councillor has a very clear opinion as to whether or not it should have a staff meal. So what I'm suggesting is that we don't debate it for the next 20 minutes, because we all pretty much know how we're going to vote on it. Christine.
You've put me off now.
I'm surprised I couldn't.
Who put this?
Yeah, please.
Who put this item on the agenda, please? Who thought up this weird idea that the ratepayers of Anston want to pay for a free meal?
We did it last year.
I, being one of them, object most strongly. Thank you. Who put it on the agenda? You did, you both did you? Well, I think it's a disgrace.
We did it last year.
No, it doesn't, and it never did. Where have you got that idea from?
It's an item for discussion. It's not acceptable to say that you think something...
Colin.
May I respond, please? Christine, may I respond, please? Last year, and this year, and last year certainly, the staff Christmas meal was paid from the chairman. Don't argue with me, please. The meal was paid from the chairman's allowance, and the proposal this year is that the same arrangements will apply. Now, just a minute. Before you say no, Christine, before you say no, come up with solid evidence that proves me wrong, and then I'll listen to you.
If you look at the finance
I'm going to interject.
We did it last year.
Christine, it's not appropriate to say things like that. We're going to have a discussion. We're going to have a democratic vote at the end of it. So you might be outraged by the fact that another councillor has put something on the agenda, but any councillor can put anything that's acceptable on the agenda, and they shouldn't feel that they can't take part in discussion about it. So if you know that you object to it, you obviously know that I'm for it, and we settle it by a vote.
Oh, right.
We settle it by shouting at each other across.
Okay, good idea.
Anyone else who wants to
Can we go with Ben's proposal straight to the vote?
Ben wants to go straight to the vote. Is that second?
Yeah, Chairman,
Yeah.
go straight.
Yep.
You still want to
Let's make a quick...
We want to speak. So, we've got a second proposal to go to the vote. All those in favour of going straight to the vote?
I'll give Stuart a chance to speak.
I will, yeah.
Well, I'm still going to speak because that's my democratic right. We've just been on about democracy, so it's my democratic right. Of the 20-odd years that I spent in the army, we used to have Christmas meals or Christmas functions every year. Them functions were paid out of our own pocket because it was regarded as, and I use the word carefully, it was an abuse of taxpayers' money to fund Christmas parties for the soldiers. That's why I won't be voting for this.
Chairman can spend his money how he wants.
Okay, so we'll proceed to the vote. And we were proposing, again, a very small contribution.
Isn't it a contradiction
Christmas.
when the one person who's going to benefit has put it on the agenda? You didn't
they won't
hear
benefit.
that?
I did.
Are you going on the staff do, Drew?
With the clerk,
Are you going on the staff do?
No, I'm not.
They won't benefit from it, then, will they?
Cannot believe people want
We
to
did
come down.
exactly the same last year. We approved it after the chair
Can I ask
allowed.
you to choose your words slightly more carefully, please?
Yes, you can ask.
So,
I wouldn't
to
stop you
authorise...
asking me anything.
Don't speak, listen.
In terms of the contributions, I'll start it. So we paid half last year. I suggest a maximum of €8.
Yeah. It's coming from the chairman's allowance.
Yeah. Is that seconded?
Yeah, I'll take it.
All those in favour? Would you like to take against?
Can I have a recorded vote so that when I write to the Rotherham Magistrate,
You better write about Dinnington Town
Right.
Council there, because they approved it to
Yes.
their staff.
The vote has been taken.
yes,
Say that I
a recorded vote, please.
The council will make a contribution to the costs of the staff having a Christmas meal and thanks for all of their hard work over the year.
But they get paid through. Did you not know that?
Yeah.
Oh, you
I
did.
think he's aware of that.
Right,
He's fully
a recorded vote, please.
Okay, well, there we go, recorded vote.
Yes, exactly, and I narrate there.
I think
Right, here we go.
only 23.
Well,
Not that many.
no, you can make your observation a couple of agenda points down the,
There are Meals on Wheels.
Doesn't exist.
You'll be in the... Paul, you'll be in the...
We did exactly the same last year. Voted this through.
Nothing.
So we're not setting a precedent. So Dinnington Town Council will pay their staff.
Chair, can we have a bit of decorum? It's not helpful
I'm really
when
surprised that you don't support your staff.
when most of us are making comments across the table to say out of discussion. I'm saying we're all guilty, so we need to act a bit more responsible, and it doesn't help when we're getting interference from the public.
Chairman,
Anna's losing her voice. So,
sorry, Chairman, has that been passed?
it has.
Well, next agenda.
That will be the recorded vote.
Even after the vote's been taken.
The clerk, there's a request for a recorded vote.
It was after the vote.
That was after the vote.
You can still ask for one.
Right.
I don't mind.
Before you move to
My
the next
name
item of business.
You can
You
do
ask
it.
for a recorded vote.
I'll explain to you
Clerk's
later.
losing her voice, so I will be the clerk. Councillor Bentley.
Most decidedly for.
Councillor Bowers.
Four, please.
Sorry? Paul?
Councillor Gray isn't here.
B-O-W-E-R-S.
Hang on. Councillor Jackson.
4.
Councillor Manchin.
4.
Councillor Matthews isn't here. Councillor Savvy.
Again.
Thank you. Here. I will vote for. Councillor Tor.
For.
Councillor Thorpe.
Against.
Councillor Vernon. I will vote for. Councillor Wilkins is against. So that's carried.
Councillor Wilkins is long.
Okay, we proceed to the next
Get an
agenda
advertisement
item,
next
which
week.
is 9.2.
You'll
That's
be
the
in.
biggest one that we've discussed before, hopefully very quickly. I'm asking for permission from myself and the clerk and other members as they see fit. We talked in the past about perhaps sharing some resources and sharing some buying power with other parish councils. So hanging baskets, for example, loads of parish councils buy hanging baskets. If we club together with a group of parish councils, we might save money, bedding plants, etc. We make the order. Or we share staffing resources at times where it certainly helps us. So it was just to allow us to begin some initial discussions for anyone who wants to come along. We'll contact neighbouring parish councils and say, do you want to share anything? That was all I was going to propose today. So that's what I would
I'll second it, Drew.
So we've got people wanting to speak. Can we make it really quick? We can defer if it's necessary.
No, let's get it through.
So we've got Clive. Anyone else want to speak?
Yeah.
Desmond, Stuart. Anyone else? Clive.
Yeah, just to say I've been in favour of this for quite a long time, especially with things like hanging baskets, etc., etc. And I think it's something that we should look to do. And again, I'll try and push that through the parish and town council working group. We have discussed how we can get procurement advice from our MBC through that group for nothing, hopefully. So I'm all in favour of it. I think Wales and a lot of other parishes buy their hanging baskets from the same company as we do, or we have done over the last few years. So if it improves our buying power and we get more bang for our bucks, then I think we should do it. So I'll support it.
Yeah, I mean, I support this idea in general. What we need to do is, it says there to approve initial discussions. What we need to do is, we need to arrange a meeting and invite the council. We used to have, just going quickly, we used to have a group, I think it was called the 7 parishes, but not all 7 used to turn up, where we used to have quite a lot of discussions, and then for some reason decided they weren't going to play ball no more, and it faded away. I think it's a good idea that we have a meeting, probably with just the councils in the south, open invitation for all councillors and the clerks to come, have a meeting, and just see what happens from that first meeting.
I'll amend my proposal to say that we'll organise a meeting, we'll contact the neighbouring parish councils. I imagine that, given that the invitation has to go out and then they would have to ratify it at their next meetings, I think really we're going to be talking at least in 2 months' time.
Yeah, but we have to go through that process. That's one of the things.
Should we host it, Drew?
Sorry?
Should we host it?
Well, we are
Invite them here.
hosting
Yeah. Then say, come here.
Okay.
Is that a proposal?
That was a proposal.
I'll second
Well,
it.
I'm going to second.
Oh, sorry.
So the wording is perhaps so to approve initial discussions with neighbouring parish councils, following wording on the feasibility of collaborating for resources and buying power and provision of local services. We will organise a meeting and we'll invite the neighbouring parishes and we'll circulate details of the meeting to members.
I would suggest that Anna maybe speaks to Janice Curran, who is the liaison officer for all the parish councils across the borough, so you might widen it out at the end of the day for the people buy into it, so the more the merrier.
All those in favour? Thank you. So no reports that I'm aware of from any committee chairman? Bonfire, any update?
Just let everyone thought it was awesome. But there's some stuff on the agenda for the next meeting.
Okay. So go on the agenda. Date time the next meeting, Monday.
Drew, can
No,
I
another
just
meeting, it's
just quickly, item 9.4, have we done that?
Can we receive, good point.
Can I just
Are we
ask
happy
what,
to receive?
can I just ask what the legal briefing was?
It's the one that's in the pack. It's actually, we probably covered it because it's GDPR. So if anyone wants to...
Oh, sorry, I've got it here. I didn't know I had it.
GDPR. Are we happy to receive that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Proposer and seconder? Proposer. Seconder. Thank you, Miles. Stuart, all those in favour? Read it as you will. It doesn't really tell us very much.
That's one about a three-tier payments.
15th of January, so we'll resolve to adjourn the meeting in order to allow the public to raise any issues regarding today's meeting. Time limited to 10 minutes. It's 9 o'clock. Anyone want to raise any issues regarding today's meeting? Kevin?
Yeah, quite concerned that you're trying to design smaller committees to make very important decisions, because when you're elected as a councillor, it used to be that your finance and your council meeting were run together, and your charity were another meeting that you had if you wanted to join charity. And because people were working, were elected as councillors, they were able to make these very important decisions. You leave it to a minority, and let's just say, for instance, independents or conservatives or Labour council, or whoever it might be, whichever party they run for, could make very important decisions to benefit their group rather than everybody's group that's been elected.
Yeah, I think that's...
And I think Councillor Benson was quite right.
Thank you.
So I'll put that point forward.
Thank you. That's
public
noted.
concern.
Any other comments? You had one earlier on? No? That's great. Thank you very much. So, Merry Christmas, everyone. We probably won't see you before. And can we resolve to adjourn the meeting to allow the public, and we've done that, to allow the council to exclude the press and public even.
Can I propose that we go into confidential session and exclude the press and public due to the confidential nature of the items to be transacted?
Second then. Thank you. All those in favour? Brilliant. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen.
Are those cards